Dudes, I am reposting this right quick because I had a little bit of misinformation regarding persistence on charge staff. Turns out that persistence does work on charge staff, I just wasn't letting the charges run out all the way. And thanks to Huntanor and this lovely person as well, they have pointed out that the issue was me not letting it run it out completely and starting a new charge of charge staff. That fixed it, and then with persistence on charge staff it can last for over a minute on my setup versus 40 something seconds. So 100% it does work, and that is my bad. So we have another lovely build over for you here by another very nice person named Flair, who has come in, posted their build to the Discord, and has subjected themselves to our overview. So they were kind enough to put all their stats here inside the notes. They are a new player to PoE, had not played PoE 1, obviously new to PoE 2, but it looks like they did a pretty good job. I do not see many jumping out complaints right here. Like their life and energy shield is a little bit low, mana is a little low, but honestly, whatever. They got 77, I assume, percent evasion. Their res are capped. Like none of that is really jumping out at you as like beginner mistakes. So overall, great job to start. But yeah, I wanted to bring this up when I saw charge staff. I just had to show because a lot of people are using this. A lot of people seem to think it works, but it does not. And I have done that test while waiting for the staff to run out. It still does not work. So anyways, Tempest Flurry, he has Electrocute, which is great on Tempest Flurry if you're wanting to go and use Electrocute there with Martial Tempo and Rage, fantastic. But he's got Overcharge. Unfortunately, Overcharge and Electrocute do not go together. You need to Shock for the effect of Overcharge, and Electrocute makes it so you do not Shock. So now with Charge Staff, obviously Persistence does not work. You also got Primal Armament, Conduction, so you're getting more shock chance, and Coursing Current, so you're shocking in an area. First thing you should do is take Overcharge and replace Persistence. Just take that off, because right now you are currently not using Avatar or anything to make use of it. So then you could probably put on your Tempest Flurry like Lightning Infusion. That'd probably be the best because your staff here is Fizz and Lightning. You don't seem to really have any cold damage or fire damage anywhere, so that would be pretty big damage increase for you. It'd be almost a straight 25% increased damage. I see that you have I'm the Blizzard, which is going to help you with the Pulsar Clan ring. Uh, but well, first we'll just get down here. Tempest Spell, you got Rage Forged, Overabundance, both good options when you're kind of still doing a little bit lesser damage. Heavy Swing with a Fizz, that's fantastic, and Potential. These are all great options. This is a really good setup for Tempest Spell. No complaints here, you're doing really nice. You got Flicker Strike with a Perpetual Charge, Close Combat, which makes perfect sense, and Concentrated Effect. You should probably try getting one more Jewel on here just to get the momentum skill jump because you're going to be moving around a lot. I know it says teleports and strikes, and momentum specifically says does not support teleports, but for whatever reason, Flicker Strike is considered a dash, as it should be. But yeah, it's for whatever reason working with Flicker Strike right now. You got Herald of Thunder with the really nice Herald of Thunder tech, and you got Herald of Ice with the really nice Herald of Ice tech. This is the tech you need to not require Pulsar Clan. So if you have this tech going out, you should probably take the ring off to see if it still works. You may have enough flat fizz conversion with your staff to be able to make this work without having to worry about needing the rings. If it does work, this already is going to be a huge improvement. You have pretty low energy shield to use Grim Feast, but it's still a great skill to use. It's like 2,000 more effective life. And you got Cannibalism and Clarity to keep your mana and life up. That looks good. Wind Dancer with Pin, Lockdown, and Precision. You probably don't need Precision because you're going to be hitting all the time anyways. One thing that I think would help you a lot, because you don't have the damage to just straight nuke everything with Wind Dancer yet, but you could probably swap this out with Blind, which would be a huge increase to sustain and just survivability, because what blind does is it reduces people's chance to hit you, so it effectively makes your evasion better. So your 77% might be like 77% lucky, is just a way to think about it. And lucky means like reroll twice. It's not 100% that tech, but that's just the easiest way to think about it. Now you got Combat Frenzy with Profusion. That's fantastic. That's assuming Yeah, you're using the resonance tech. Unfortunately, the combat frenzy with flicker strike does not work, but you could charge it up while using Tempest Flurry and getting the freezes off with Herald of Thunder, and you could potentially get it by charging up by hitting the bell and then using flicker. Might be a little clunky. I don't really like promoting the profane ritual tech if you do not have a big spirit to make it automated with cast on freeze or cast on crit. But if you can afford to move over, you won't have the spirit to do it though, not with your chest piece, unfortunately. But that's something that when you do upgrade gear, you could try to look towards automating. It might help a lot. But for the time being, this is a good setup. It's just going to be a little clunky trying to get the Flicker Strike charged, but when you do get it charged, then that's fantastic. Uh, I don't see too much of an issue except for the Electrocute being on with Overcharge, and I think you're going to be fine. You're going to get the rage charges up from here for your Tempest spell because you're not going to kill in your first spell. The Overabundance is super helpful at low levels and lower damage numbers. This is pretty good. And the melee Fizz damage, that's fantastic with the Fizz staff. You were saying that you wanted to make the swap to a charge or to an attribute stacking type. So uh, unfortunately, you're going to have to drop the physical because you won't have much physical to work with. You'll end up wanting to drop overabundance because it just you're not going to need it as often. You're going to pop it a lot faster with your crazy attack speed. And Rage Forged, you may be killing things too fast, but that is a future issue. It's not going to be right away. Keep Rage Forged for now. It's really good. And then maybe one of these try to swap with Concentrated Effect or Magnified Effect if you're trying to use it for AoE clear, but you're using Magnified Effect on Herald Device, so I think Concentrated for boss damage on Bell would be best for you. And then yeah, I've already given you the information on all these. I think that is the only changes you would really need to make with your gear, or sorry, with your skills. Now move on to your gear. So first of all, your weapon is pretty nice, but it doesn't have any good suffixes. It does not have attack speed, does not have crit chance or crit damage, and those are all crazy multipliers. But with that said, it just won't scale as good as attribute stacking when you do make that swap. Again, I wouldn't be making these suggestions if you didn't already come forward and say that you want to make that swap. Uh, Obviously, these gloves, it's going to be kind of difficult to take care of those resistances, but luckily these gloves are unfortunately terrible. Uh, how is that a good sign or a plus? Well, in this case it is because you already know what to swap and that you are going to. Because this here, the flat added damage onto it is really low. The evasion rating on it is really low because it's got no pluses on it, and it's mid-roll life. The resistances are very nice, and I bet that Leech's mana is really nice with that staff. You may run into mana issues initially, but this is kind of what you are going to be looking to replace first because you said you already have the staff, but the staff is also like literally super cheap. You can get one for a couple of Exalt. You don't need to get the best in slot one for a div, but you could get this one for about an Exalt. You could get the gloves for about 2 div. This belt is actually kind of nice. It's a shame that there are really no prefixes that help on belts except for maybe mana and armor, but they're not important enough to even go looking for. But the one thing I noticed, you're going to be stacking a lot of life. You do not have chaos inoculation, and life here, life here, life here, life here, life here. It's all actually kind of nerfing you. Hold on, I'm going to make the screen a little bit closer in. This is my bad. All of these life rolls are making your scaling worse for your defenses. The reason why is because there's basically no increased life gain percentage wise on the tree, but there's a ton for evasion and energy shield. So the fact that you're putting life on there, even if you get half the amount, like say you got 90 maximum life, or instead of getting the 174 maximum life, instead you got 90 more mana or energy shield, it would end up counting a lot more, even just on your setup, because here's 48% increased, here's another 24% increased, here's a bunch for your evasion, more for your body armor evasion, a whole bunch more for your evasion, and stacking more energy shield. And we'll find ways to correct this later, but just the scaling on it means every point of evasion and Energy shield on here is going to scale way better than any amount of life that you could get on gear. So yeah, this belt is decent for now. You don't need to worry about it, but these boots are not. These boots are pretty unfortunate because they do not have the percent increased on top of it. These could be more than twice as good with very little investment. The suffixes aren't quite there. Really think you're handicapping yourself with not being CI on this because just the way that you're building the extra life and you're still only having 2,000 life, it's quite unfortunate. And then still having to spec into Chaos Res and you only have 45, it's really hurting you. You'd be way better off to drop all this Chaos Res and all these life rolls and you'll just be massively stronger because of it. I do like that you're doing evasion energy shield split. That is a very, very solid tech. Just your gear here needs upgrades. So this one here specifically, low energy shield, low evasion rating, the life won't matter, and low resistances. That's very unfortunate. What you'll look for on this when you're looking for it, I like the 30 move speed. You don't quite need it that high if you're not wanting to spend so much currency to replace them, but you need a decent evasion rating energy shield roll on it. That is where you're scaling all your defenses. And then on top of that, try to get probably 2 resistances and an attribute just to keep yourself more topped up and easier to gear for. Same thing with the rings, you're going to want to get resistances and an attributes on those. Maybe one all attributes, one all resistances if that's what you need. But like this Pulsar Kiln ring, I do not think you need it. Not with the Herald of Thunder, Herald of Ice tech that you're rocking. You'll have to check that yourself though to see if you have enough damage to proc it, but I think you will. Even with this staff, I think you will. Yeah, I really do. So I don't think this is needed whatsoever. And this ring, unfortunately, it's got nice resistances and it's got a little bit of attributes on there, so it's probably your best thing that you got, but those prefixes are not doing anything for you. Nothing at all. You should try to find something with like some added damage or even a bigger plus to evasion on it since you're doing an evasion build. It will do a lot for you, I'm pretty sure, but you can get a lot better than this for honestly a couple of Exalt. You're probably going to be spending a couple div on a really good pair of boots to just replace these and never think about it again. The belt, again, because the thing that everybody wants for a belt is the ingenuity, so you might be able to find a better belt. You might even find one with plus charms if you want to use charm shot slots for like freeze immunity, and if they fixed it, the stun immunity one might be nice, but this one is solid. That's probably your best piece right now that I've seen. Your body armor, yeah, same thing. Need to find something with higher evasion rating, energy shield. Like these are some really nice rolls, and then if life was good, this would be a good body armor. It's just unfortunately it's not. It even has really nice lightning res on here, but like this one here is probably like the well, actually you really need a good body armor for Lead Me Through Grace. So this might make it a bigger priority to replace this. Try to find something with like at least 900 evasion rating and like 350-ish energy shield, and then you're going to scale that even harder with this node here, Spectral Ward. It's pretty important to get a good body armor. When you swap these out and get a good body armor, and then definitely swap the rings, swap the boots, it's going to help. This is actually a really nice amulet though. If you do make the swap, you're not going to have any attributes on this, so it's a problem. I know you're probably really enjoying that 40 rarity. For the time being, it might be pertinent to drop it, but the fact that this has semi-decent all resistances on it, a good crit damage, well, crit damage is just always nice. It's not necessarily the best roll, but just having it is nice. The rarity is going to give you some good stuff, and that percent increase maximum energy shield is fantastic. Good on that. And it's even on a good base, so I like this a lot. One thing I've noticed, you got quality on that one, but you don't have quality on either of these. If you're not wanting to replace these right away, because like this amulet is actually pretty solid, you'd probably want to quality these up. This one here, either lightning, what's your lightning? You got some decent lightning res, but the fact that if you put lightning on it, it would give you a little bit better lightning res and give you all res to slightly overcap your fire, it would be nice. You could also potentially do attributes if you wanted to, if you're wanting to do the swap. It's just, depending on your gear, it might be easier to go with lightning to reduce the difficulty of swapping out these gloves, because that's a lot of resistances on those gloves that you need. You're probably going to be getting it when you swap out the boots the most. Your helmet is pretty nice. Your helmet is actually quite nice. It's just a shame of that 192 max life. I'm pretty sure this is a 6 mod with percent energy shield life and then split of energy shield life. If it's not, slam another exalt on there for sure. But that crit chance is really nice. That lightning res is really nice. It's just a shame this thing could probably be like 400 energy shield without much changes, and it would be a fantastic piece for your build. It would help you a lot. But as it stands, this thing is quite nice, but it's just not doing enough for you. You have to do basically a full swap, except for kind of this amulet, and this belt can stick with you for a bit. Just, yeah, it's unfortunate that there's so much to swap. Now for your Atlas, I like your Atlas a lot actually. It's pretty damn good. I don't know if you did research on it or if you're just really intuitive on how to get a good Atlas, but you did fantastic. Like yeah, you technically got 2 little points here, but like what are you gonna do? You're not gonna put it on Treasure Cove, it sucks. And local knowledge is pretty good, but only if you're doing water or grass biome, or sorry, swamp or grass biomes. The rest kind of suck. So I understand why you wouldn't want to put it there, but no, you did a really solid job. This is a really good Atlas. No, don't have any complaints about that. Now for your passive tree, I like your passive tree where you came down to get the energy shield. The move speed is probably feeling pretty nice. I don't like this power charge node here because it's the weakest of the power charges, especially when you could take these off. 1, 2, 3, 4 points spent and only put 3 in here to get maximum power charges and give you a little bit more defenses from your energy shield. That might be nice. You also got like 3 points here in kind of a silly way, but I do not like this node because even though it's nice to have the evasion rating and maximum energy shield, the subterfuge mask just isn't a very good node at all. On your 260 energy shield helmet, it's only giving you 520 base evasion. With all the add-ons and everything, you're getting just barely over 1,000. It's unfortunately not that good because when you're at 77%, I imagine you're probably at like 60 or 70,000. It's a pretty low evasion rating because you're not using it with acrobatics or protect me from harm. You should try to get it quite a bit higher, and that's only going to be done with gear and more on the passive tree. Killer instinct, you probably aren't getting much use out of this at all, especially since you're a life-based build. If you were CI, you'd always be getting that 30% increased, but you never want to be relying on that low life unless you're specifically a low life build. So this just is not very efficient. Definitely take that out. Take this out. I do not like Essence of the Mountain. I used to think it was good as well, but unless you're not able to get the Herald Chain procs off without it, but you are with, I'd say drop it. Which brings me back to get rid of that Pulse Recline ring. It's a great ring, but you got the fantastic tech setup. So if you're wanting to keep that ring, you would just use Herald Device. You wouldn't even need Herald of Thunder. So like, if you can do it without this freeze build up and Essence of the Mountain, I'd 100% say do it. This just, it doesn't do nearly as much as you'd think it would. Now, coming up here for these nodes is great. You took the extra crit chance, so I imagine you need it. And then you came up here for Spectral Ward, you came all the way down, you got these power charge nodes. You did not get Throat Seeker because of the reduced crit chance on there, and I do not blame you. It's kind of rough early on. You're level 89, so it's a bit to ask for. You got First Approach here, which is a huge damage node, which should make it really easy for your Herald tech to go off. And then you come down here for One with the Storm to try and boost your synergy with your Charge Staff, or with, not Charge Staff, with your Flicker Strike. So it probably is helping you out quite a bit with Flicker Strike, but at the same time, I'm not too sure if it's needed. Not for what you got. Like, it's a good node, 100%. I like that node a lot. It's just I don't know if you need it. So now you were definitely right to come down here for Coming Calamity with the Herald of Thunder, Herald of Lightning, because with the non-pillar setup, the non-attribute stacker setup, this is a lot of damage. When you do make the swap though, you'll want to drop this for sure. coming down here is really good with getting the extreme extra evasion from body armor, but even more so, you want to get the 30% increased evasion rating because this is global. This is all your gear. This, depending if this was your only piece of evasion rating, this would be your best source to scale for sure, but you'll want to hit both. You'll also, it's decent to hit these nodes. I'd say come down here for the attack speed unless you really need the increased damage, but this node ends up falling off with efficiency pretty quick. And this here is a fantastic set of nodes. Like you'll never want to take this off. It's one of the best nodes on the entire tree. So for changes, I would say take off everything from subterfuge to this guy. Just drop all of this. And so that'll bring your damage down a little bit. But then you come in here and you get your extra dexterity and evasion to make you a little bit tankier. You also drop this node to drop your damage again. Drop these guys entirely and take this power charge node instead if you really want it, or just rock without it. Both are fine options. You are going to want to potentially, since you are rocking lightning, uh, actually, yeah, you're rocking Tempest Flurry, so it's lightning damage, but and lightning damage on the staff here. So just so you know, Tempest Flurry is a little bit better for the pillar setup, but I would say that Ice Strike is better for an evasion fizz setup. So what you're currently running, I'd say go with Ice Strike, but what you're planning to switch into, go with Tempest Flurry. Now you'd want to come up here and tech into Chaos Inoculation for sure. I think that would do you wonders. And also, because you do not have your final ascendancies yet, I'd say get rid of Sunder My Enemies with the crit and try to get Avatar for a little bit more damage. And then spec into uh, this one here, Heavy Frost. And then you might as well get Thin Ice as well. Because if you're Fizz based with Ice Strike, you'll be freezing everything all the time. And so this here will be crazy effective for you and allow you to save you some points and help you out on the road to making the swap. After you make the swap though, keep going with the way you are and then come back up on this tree, get the ingenuity and the patient barrier for a lot more survivability, and the intelligence will be damage. Then you're obviously just going to follow the tree to come back down here. You're going to take off a bunch of things. You got a lot of trees to reference from, but based on the build that you currently have, because you're taking off all those nodes and you're going with lightning damage now, I'd say it'd be effective for you to come down for the increased lightning damage and then come to Wildstorm. Again, this isn't efficient pathing when you get really high gear with the pillar and everything because these scaling nodes don't do much for you then, but they will for you right now. And then finally after that, it would probably be good for you to come up to this jewel socket, come around, go for deep trance for the attack speed and the reduced cost of skills, and then come here for the interfaith for more survivability. I think this is the way for you to go, which would be really, really helpful. If you need to drop nodes, you could drop these survivability nodes to continue into here, but I think if you drop all of this and this, you won't need to drop anything else to spec into here, get CI, and get these guys. It's quite a few nodes to drop. So like that's this guy dropping, it's all of these, it's all of these, and potentially if you need it, you could drop these guys here. You could even drop these two nodes, and I know it would suck to lose the gem slot, but you'd be getting it back right here. Or jewel slot, I should say. But yeah, I think that should. Oh, my headset just died. But I hope that helps you out. I know it's a bit, but yeah, good luck on the swap. I hope that it is very smooth and all this works for you very well. I think you did a really, really good job. Good job. Like, seriously, for just being new to PoE, not knowing what you're doing, like, literally first league, everything. I made so many more mistakes than you did. Like, this is looking really good for a first character. Fantastic job. I guess last thing I should look at is your jewels here. This one here is nice with the crit chance and mana. Definitely slam an exalt onto it. This guy here with crit chance lightning damage. Blind enemies on hit is nice as well. This one's actually pretty good as well. They're not best by any stretch. They don't have corrupts, they don't have like survivability. The green ones don't have move speed, the blue ones don't have energy shield. I'm pretty sure the green ones can also get evasion rating, but like these are really good jewels. You did a great job. Yeah, I don't have anything else. That's everything. Thanks for submitting your build, and I hope I was able to help you. You have a good one.